Welcome to the final session of Spectra Plus 2021. We have certainly saved the best for the last. My name is Hemant Gaule and I'm the Dean of the School of Communications and Reputation, and I will be moderating a discussion today that will give us a look into our neighborhood, particularly insights from the communications fraternities of Bangladesh, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. The panel discussion is an outcome of the South Asia Communications Council, a platform to bring together the best of communications in South Asia. If you'd like to know more about or become a part of this council, check out our website, sacomscouncil.asia. You should be able to see the link below. Let's jump right into the discussion of the topic, of which is the future of communications in South Asia. And trust me when I say this, we have had a lot of fun putting this panel discussion together. The goal of the discussion is to spotlight opportunities and challenges which are common to the communications profession in the South Asia region. Specifically, we will look into how reputation is defined in our region, whether the PR has a seat at the table, and the opportunities which lie in front of us. And to share these insights with us, we are joined by communications professionals from the four countries, representing both consultancy and corporate communication sides. Let me introduce the panel to us. We are joined by Shamima Akhter from Bangladesh, the head of corporate affairs for Unilever in Bangladesh. Her career spans nearly 2 decades with works across Coca-Cola, Grameen Phone, USAID, and United Nations Development Program. Shamima also runs Bangladesh's first health food brand and has international cycling expeditions across a number of countries. Shamima, thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you, Hemant.
We also have Pranu Singh from Nepal, who is the executive management member at Standard Chartered Nepal and heads the corporate affairs, brand, and marketing team. Pranu has had a long career in communications and banking, and Pranu is also an active member of Toastmasters International and a certified digital marketer. Thanks a lot for joining us, Pranu.
Thank you, Hemant. I look forward to a very insightful session today. Thank you.
As do we. We have Hasan Zuberi from Pakistan. Hasan is the founder president of the Council of Public Relations Pakistan. He is the chairman of Pakistan and founding member of UAE and Indonesia for Mensa and the CEO of Momentum PR. Hasan is also a teacher and is a visiting faculty at Beacon House University and the University of Central Punjab. Thanks a lot for joining us, Hasan.
Thanks for having us.
Finally, we have Ashan Kumar from Sri Lanka, and Ashan is the founder and group chairman of Wire Communications Consultancy Group, which is Sri Lanka's largest PR consultancy group. He is also the managing director of PR Wire Sri Lanka and has been a communications consultant to United Nations Global Compact Initiative. Ashan, really good to have you with us.
It's a pleasure to be with you, Hemant, and with this elite panel. I'm looking forward for this conversation.
Thanks a lot to our panelists. At the outset, how about we start this conversation with the basics of how we look at reputation and how is reputation defined in your country? And what is the single biggest factor emerging from society that actually drives that definition? And can we start with you, Shamima?
Sure, Hemant. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, as shared by you and all the panelists, that it's an honor to be here and looking forward to an exciting conversation. So reputation here in our country especially, it means like the company needs to be known by everyone, that we need to open doors through a very good relationship, and whenever we are approaching any problem, it needs to be cleared out effectively, right? So 3 parts. People needs to know us very well. We have to be the problem solver, and we need to ensure that business continuity. So it spans a lot. And currently, if I say that we have taken a long journey, when we started this communication journey, say for example 20 years back, it was mainly going to different programs, sharing our own positioning and everything. But at this moment, it is almost like a strategy department. And the department needs to shadow a CEO's thinking and ensure that when we do sketch a business plan for 20 years, that also accounts that we know the regulatory environment, reputational issue, as well as the economic outlook. So it is no longer just a storytelling department. It is more so of like a driving insight by looking into government policy, international policy as well, right? As well as, what are the common threats that as a region we are facing, say, for example, climate change or any other environmental issue, as well as how global politics is spanning out. So another example would be like if my company is an US based company or even European company, we have to see that how this is positioned in this region, whether we are going to get a bilateral treaties facilities and all these things. So it is from, developing a very strong reputation to ensure that the business needs to continue 20 years and above. That is the responsibility now the communication professionals have. So it's, driving insight to driving business with growth and revenue. So that's kind of my take about reputation in our market. Over to you.
Thanks for that, Shamima. Interesting points of view there. I'm curious to know, Pranu, is it a similar transition in Nepal where it's headed from maybe just getting the brand to be popular to aspects of business continuity as well?
Absolutely, Hemant. I completely echo the thoughts of what Shamima mentioned, probably also because of the cultural proximity that we have with countries like India, Bangladesh, even Sri Lanka, Pakistan for that matter. So overall, in general, the definition of reputation sort of overlaps between our societies and countries. But going back to your original question, when you asked about, the major factors that are emerging out of the society that has a direct connotation or a direct effect on what reputation or how reputation is defined. So when we talk about Nepal, when I say the word Nepal, probably most of you would be thinking of Mount Everest, land of the Buddhas, courteous people, or land of the brave Gurkhas. But there are certain inconspicuous facts that people may not know, that blatantly. The first prominent thing that is very important is that the median age of Nepal is 24, which means 50% of the population is below 24 years of age. Now, to put it into perspective, speaking relatively, in Europe, the median age is 42, and in America, it's 38. So when we have such a large chunk of people below a certain category, that is 24 years of age, you know what their mindset is like, when they're perceiving a brand, when they're talking about reputation. Not just that, 10 years ago, the internet penetration in Nepal was just 8%. Today, 91% of the people have access to internet. So that's another dominant factor on how the perception of people is shaped in their minds. Whatever is on the internet, how things are perceived on the internet, that is what reputation is all about. And about more than 40% of the population uses social media. 70% of them use Facebook, Twitter, and so on. So and of course, one of the most important factors is that tele-density is about 133%. So every 100 people have like 133 times access to the telephones. So that is a very, very dominant factor that shapes the society, that is shaping the cultural norms, that is shaping the society of Nepal. And of course, if I am a reputation manager, if I'm a brand manager of a company, that is a very important factor that I have to take care of. That's one. And another equally important part is, now, if you look at Nepal, it's a very tiny, tiny country, right? Population of about 29 million people, and it just contributes less than 1% to the South Asian GDP. But there are 126 ethnic groups, 123 languages, officially recorded languages, recognized languages. So you can imagine it's like a true testament of diversity, even if it's a small nation. So yes, so that's a huge challenge and an opportunity in terms of managing the reputation for a brand. So yes, Hemant. So that is what Nepal is all about.
And from that diversity, I imagine, emerges several definitions and several drivers of reputation, and possibly something that could be said about the South Asia region as a whole. And Hasan, I'm curious to get your point of view on this as well. How complex is the definition of reputation getting in your region? And specifically, since you had the Council of PR at Pakistan, does your council also play a role in perhaps narrowing down on that definition, and just curious to know your thoughts.
Thank you. Well, Pakistan being again from the same region, it's not much different here. If particularly I talk about Pakistan here, we are one of the advertising. We have always been one of the advertising-driven markets compared to other countries. I mean, PR, reputation. This was always secondary. There was in-your-face advertising, and most of the brands were okay with that. With the emergence of media, which is not, I mean, it's hardly a decade back, the emergence of media started in Pakistan, and from one state-owned television, we moved to almost over 100 private satellite channels now. The competition has been there, the same market chunk, everybody started fighting for it and all. Having said that, this became the reason of initiating Council of Public Relations at the first place. Being a PR practitioner, I started practice good 20 years back. This is the need I felt, and we sat down some of colleague with some of colleagues, and we started discussing the need of making the brands understand that they should consider themselves as a good corporate citizens and work on the same lines. Before that, I think I'll quote Nawab Shefta here, one of the legendary poets of the subcontinent. हम तालिब शोहरत हैं, हमें नंग से क्या काम, बदनाम अगर होंगे तो क्या नाम ना होगा. This has been the main theme in our country, that they cared the least about the reputation management. But with the emergence of the Council of PR and the emergence of media, uh, guiding our corporates, guiding our business circles, how to use reputation and good reputation for their benefit. This has been the topmost objective, and so far we have been successful. This is where that led me to teaching, so that I can teach the new minds, particularly about Pakistan. Second factor, Pakistan. Uh, we are back in news because of Afghanistan again. With the first Afghan war, then it has affected the Pakistani market a lot. Then came the CPAC, and it has also attracted a lot of businesses. There was a time, particularly because of the terrorism, businesses have started leaving Pakistan, and they have moved their marketing segments to Middle East. I mean, the Pakistan market was being operated from either Dubai, Qatar, or KSA. So that has it effect on our market. It became stagnant in between. But particularly because of CPAC, a lot of brands and good situation now comparatively, the business have started returning, and this has again increased the pace of reputation management, PR, the brand management again back in this scenario. So we have always been have a roller coaster ride, ups and downs. But this is the case that it is coming back. We have started focusing more on educating the clients, the brands, on how to present themselves as a good corporate citizen, and particularly show their face other than the business. So this is the situation in Pakistan.
Right. Interesting. Very interesting. And Ashan, I want to get your thoughts on this as well. And since we will have delegates from across the world, what must they know about reputation in Sri Lanka?
Thank you, Hemant. Again, it's a wonderful opportunity that Spectra has created today, and I'm honored to be a Miss Elite panel today across the region, working together and being here today to network as well as share my thoughts. As you know, Sri Lanka is a democratic nation, and the social, political, environmental, and economical factors can be conversed, or there's opportunity for citizens of the country to come out and talk about it more often, as well as bring out any challenges which comes out as well. And not merely one factor when it comes to Sri Lanka. As a firm, we have found out through our research that there are three core factors that actually defines a reputation when it comes to brands or a person or even marketing or even communications in Sri Lanka. Number one is that most Sri Lankans demand transparency. Over 95% of Sri Lankans want to actually know the truth and the actual truth and nothing but the truth. And we see an increase of demands coming from not only the media but also the communities which are engrossed in many cultural as well as social dissects. And we also see that I can give you an example, especially recently, uh, an incident which is termed as Sri Lanka's biggest ocean marine disaster occurred in the end of May, where a toxic ship container uh, containing chemicals containing was brought to the country, and as a result of the uh, a reaction, that entire ship got burnt. And imagine the effect that it had on the marine as well as the whole coastal area, right? A total loss of over 40 turtles to dolphins to many fish were also affected. And not only that, many communities around the coastal areas, especially the fishing community, was affected as a result of this. And there was a uh, total disruption in terms of the fish market in the country, because people in Sri Lanka consumes a lot of fish, as you know, being an island nation and surrounded by the beautiful Indian Ocean. It really affected this whole community. So it was not only driven by the communities around the fishermen or the fishing community, people, environmentalists, societies, even the common youth groups, or even people like I were there to actually safeguard this coastal disaster. And it not only triggered that aspect as well, an action, but it also demanded the government or the state or the institution to actually look at opportunities to uh, come out with that correct information and to give out the truth. Number two, which is a very important element which is close to my heart, Sri Lankans care about a purpose. More than 65% of the Gen Zers actually in this country want the brand to be valued for what they believe in, and vice versa. And it is also interesting to see that more local brands are now, in fact, 15% of the local brands are actually working on the core brand purpose element as well. Number three, it is also very evident that 100% of Sri Lankans want to have a better experience. As we know, when COVID hit, we were not really prepared. And in 2020, the whole of e-commerce or even online trading was impacted by an increase of 300%. Come 2021, now more and more business have adopted a better online and digital transformation and experience. And now we can see that at over 450% of increase of e-commerce, social commerce to m-commerce together has been very evident. And all of these three elements derive two factors, which is very important for a reputation manager, which is trust and credibility. And as I firmly believe as a communicator, we need to continue to think deeper and communicate higher, and always very important, we need to act wider with that correct impact. And as reputation managers and communications professionals, these are the key factors which is popping up from the island nation.
So allow me to move to the next question, which is on the state of the profession in our regions, and particularly of talent and learning. And what I'm curious to know is, how do you look at talent within your region? Perhaps if you can highlight 3 attributes of a successful PR professional in your country, and therefore, what do you see the role of learning and development in your region? So let's start with you, Shamima.
Again, thanks, Hemant. I like to frame the question a little bit broader than PR professional, because whenever we mention the term PR, it's almost like earned media, then the holistic corporate communication, which involves strategy. And our 2 colleagues from Sri Lanka and Pakistan, you two heads the communication firms, right? And it's not only earned media, the number we quote. It's more on like sector based, strategy based, communication strategy and channel. It's much more wide. So that requires a lot of sharp thinking who will be working in this area. And also want to draw another kind of summary from the previous conversation, which is like the scope will be a lot bigger. It is just gearing up, meaning this is going to be the hub of the economic growth. It has already started, right? Asia, Southwest Asia is going to be one of the economic driver. So corporate communication will be much more wide. So that I see like as a big frame. And here, of course, as of now, it's an extension of if someone loves to engage with people, right? It's more from a person who can give you the feeling that, okay, this person can, open up doors and the company well. That is how it used to, people used to, bring, this kind of corporate communication person. But things are changing. We need to be, any corporate communication person needs to be highly aware of the global economic aspect, environmental aspect, and how scenarios are changing. I really love the way Pranu has opened up saying that, these are the data, right? My focus group is below 24, so my language needs to be so and so. Right. Then again, our regulators are someone who is from maybe 65 years old, who will be taking a decision for drafting a law. So the whole 2 gambit of communication. Now, it is very important to find the right strategies into this position, meaning who knows the business, valuation, who knows how to manage the shareholders sitting in the boardroom, who needs to know that how policies are made inside the parliament, and then who knows how to prepare a position paper and share with the stakeholder, from starting from media to consumer to the board member, and finally the even the world itself. So that is a large job. And doing this job, if someone is just thinking that, okay, I know how to just handle a media, that's not, should not be our job. My partner organization, who is my PR, partner, they know it even better, right? We have to give them what we want sharp. They will assist us to do it. We shall not try to do ourselves everything. So this is actually a joint partnership sort of behavior, and we need to heavily rely on this expert organization called PR professional. Otherwise, we can hire 4, 5, 6 people. We will not reach to that position. But if we can develop a right sort of partnership with a expert organization, that is the sort of like speed we want. So it's not only, and also I see another challenge that we all want to join multinational company. We don't want to work for the PR firm. But whereas the PR firm is actually my first-hand strategy partner. They are kind of the pulse from the field. I cannot go every media houses. I cannot go, present in every association meeting. These are the people say that, hey, this is coming up. So that, equally developing a PR organization, institution is so important to fast pace the industry growth. This is very, very important. Hence, how do we ensure that our PR partners are attracting right talent? It's not only scooping from media personnel, right? They need to find out how do we evaluate our current progress. What is our client wanting, right? Do they want a reputation management, or do they want a reputation development? Two different things. And also, what my Sri Lanka colleague was saying, that nowadays youth are purpose driven. They want brand to be purpose led, right? This is a big thing. Whenever you are talking about purpose, it is actually activism. You have to take a position. And whenever you are taking a position, previously business was apolitical. I want to do my business, I'll make a profit, I don't have any side in the table. Now it is different. As a business, you need to take a position. Be it saving the turtle, be it carbon emission, be it, supporting LGBTQ. Now, if my brand or company needs to have an activist voice, right, then I will make some of my enemies. It's an absolutely different gambit. Now, here I have to make the ground. It's not reputation management, it is actually reputation development, right? So, in these cases, if the resources are not knowing core of the issue, starting from UN General Assembly to Paris, Act, to the G8, whatever is happening in the global sector, that needs to come down to this expert, so that they know that, okay, where is Bangladesh positioned? Where is our Prime Minister is committed the most? Is my company towards this position or against this position? Where my cultural sensitivity lies, where my Pakistani colleague was mentioning, right? Cultural sensitivity is important for us. We may think that world is flat now. Whatever is happening in USA, I can replicate it here. Maybe it is just going to nudge in a very wrong way, and your entire reputation can go down so much that your share price fall as well. So everything is interconnected. Hence, a long answer to your short question, that this profession cannot be coming out from journalism. It needs to have completely a macroeconomic value, understanding, business strategy, economic progression, as well as environmental expertise. So you need to really think like a GM, equivalent to a strategist who will build the business for next 20 years. That kind of outlook is needed for this professional to be successful.
Very, very interesting. And those are a lot of expectations there from communications professionals. And I'm sure more often than not, we do meet those expectations. Pranu, is it a similar situation there? Have we moved beyond fundamental skill sets such as writing, storytelling, etc., to more macroeconomic skill sets, as Shamima mentioned?
Absolutely. So, well, the expected picture or the expected future is definitely, we are in common terms with what we want, what are the expectations and the dreams, the nicer ones. But the fact remains at the moment that, talking about Nepal, of course, we all agreed that generally in South Asia, the trend of the importance of PR and corporate communication and, of course, the talent there is positively inclined. But it's not absolute sunshine and roses, all right? So if I have a specializing degree in PR and communications only, I may not be too excited about being a hot selling cake in the market. But however, the trend, as I mentioned earlier, the country is full of young people. So when I joined the banking industry, we were all like working in factories and we finished our degrees. And where do we go? Okay, we join a multinational, we join a bank. So that was a very, very straight sort of a path. But the youth today, they don't want to, banking is not their first choice. They don't want to become doctors and engineers. That's the thing of the past. Of course, there are a large chunk over there too. But generally, they want to do very different degrees. They're like entrepreneurs, most of them on the internet, doing their own thing. They're marketing their own products. They're doing their own communications. They're building up their own network. So what I mean to say is, this trend is now slowly starting in Nepal. It's in a very nascent stage if you talk specifically about PR and communications, but it's slowly but steadily but and surely taking off at the moment. So and of course, again, talking about organizations, not just multinationals, but all any organization, uh, resourcing has always been an issue till date. I was telling you about this little incident that happened, with my colleague. They were not able to find a PR personnel over like the 3 years. So you can imagine the state of the talent at the moment. But that doesn't mean that there is an absolute nobody, in the entire country. I'm sure there are, but generally it is a hard. Number one, the focus of the organization. Number one, how focused our organization in terms of allocating the resources to allocating the limited budget or allocating the resources to this specific segment. Till date, if I have XYZ dollars, I may still want to hire a sales personnel and not a PR personnel, because the salesperson will give me tangible results. It'll contribute to my bottom line. So there's always this cost benefit analysis still going on. Though we, being communicators, we continue to in that battle, saying that this PR is where everything lies. Shamima was talking about the expectations from a communication personnel. It's the sky is the limit. When we start. But again, it can be taken from another way. They can just be like, okay, we are doing XYZ, we are selling a product. Now PR, you are the PR person, you go and sell it in the market, you build us a brand of the existing product. So I mean, it's a very dicey situation at the moment out here, where at one hand we have this realization that PR and communication have they need to be on the table. It's very important, the expectations, but then at the other end, again, it sort of boils down to allocating the limited resources on how much are you willing to give out to acquire certain talent in that particular position. I don't know if I'm able to make myself clear, Hemant. But yeah, that's where we are at the moment.
It helps to give that perspective, and I think that's echoing a point that the expectations are sky high and sky's the limit as far as that's concerned. Hasan, what about yourself? What have you observed to be the state of that talent, and what makes a successful communications professional in Pakistan?
Well, since you mentioned in my introduction that I also teach, I entered into teaching profession just to fix a certain thing. Like one of my colleague referred one of the students, the gold medalist, to me just to mentor the kid. And when I sat down with the girl and I asked her about the basic media landscape of the country, and she had zero knowledge. I mean, she didn't had any idea about how many newspapers are published in Pakistan and what sides the newspaper takes. So this is I spoke to my colleague. I told them that this is your gold medalist, and she has zero clue about the PR, the basics, the media landscape. So the next thing they was like, why don't you come and fix it? So this is how I entered, and how I see is when I go start the new session every time, I start with the definition of PR from the youngsters. Asani is the easiest way to make them understand is I ask them, if you understand PR, you can understand PR. It's all about relationship management. It's the way you manage your own image, like leaving the house, that last look in the mirror to fix your hair, to fix your beard, or makeup and anything. That's exactly what we do for the brands. Likewise, relationship management. This is your relationship. The time you wake up in the morning, the first person you interact, it can be your maid, it can be your sibling, your parents, till the time you hit the bed again, end of the day. It's all the people you interact, the way you portray yourself, maybe in the university environment, the way you interact with your friends will be different to the way you interact with your teachers, or in a professional environment, from your subordinates to your bosses. There is a level of respect, there is a level of attention that you give to the individual. this is exactly what we do for corporates as the brand, or the brands as the brand custodian. When this is what we teach. So about the attributes you ask, uh, in my opinion, I personally think that they should be socially aware. They should be aware about the current trends. For instance, every morning, every session of my class, the first thing I ask them is, okay, what is the top trend on the Twitter today? It can be a Twitter trend of related to a popular drama serial, or it can be a political situation. This is what I ask them, that how much they are aware of the scenarios that are happening. Second thing is about the media landscape. I mean, Pakistan media is very, very big. I mean, combined, it's bigger than the whole Middle East. We have over 1,000 newspapers published in 4 or 5 languages. We have over 200 TV channels and different segments. So different languages. I mean, channels from different regions covering. Then we have FM and again digital media. So understanding of media landscape is essential. They should be socially aware, and like Shamima said and Pranu seconded it. Obviously, they should be aware about the strategic thinking, and if they know how, if they are good in storytelling, that is an added advantage. Otherwise, this is what they can learn out of the profession. This is what I see in Pakistan, and this is what we teach here.
Right, got it. Understood. Thanks for that. Ashan, and we have interacted on a number of occasions as far as talent is concerned when you were here in India, and your organization is also the one that has sent us a huge contingent at PR Club. So, how do you see talent? Obviously, you have a point of view that they need to integrate better with their at least their regional geography, or at least from a global perspective. How is that seen from your perspective?
Yeah, I think initially I would like to join Hasan in his vision to actually educate the public relations industry professionals in Sri Lanka as well. That's actually a huge void in this country, team across the region who are here today. The education element in terms of public relations, it's an opportunity actually for professionals like us who have that passion to embed the next generation of communicators, as I say, communication entrepreneurs. It's very vital. And we are also blessed to see that there are 3 universities in this country who churn out over 100 students who are equipped with an undergraduate degree for public relations, mass media, and mass communications. But I foresee and I really see a huge void and a huge drop of that connection of academia as well as the professional industry coming together as one unit in order to enhance their skills. So, which actually brings across a huge opportunity in the current public relations domain in this country. When it comes to strategic public relations, there are huge areas of greater avenues: sustainability communications, impact relations, crisis communications, and reputation management. Digital reputation management, as we all call corporate online reputation management, is an increase in industry in this country, because in Sri Lanka there's over 50% IT literacy, and in 72% of smartphone penetration is across the country. So also Sri Lanka is a 22 million population base, but over 26 million actually owns a mobile phone. That means that a person who owns a mobile phone is +1 actually when it comes to that ratio. And it is very important to see that I am so actually very happy to say at this point that I'm involved in conversations with Hemant as well as the praxis to spectra bodies, where we identified that constant learning, unlearning, and relearning. That whole, I strongly believe that whole cycle is very phenomenal for a public relations student or person who actually wish to enter this industry. There are multiple opportunities in this country, and primarily, as of say this year, we also see an increase of 10% of male candidates who are actually coming into the public relations domain, which actually mirrors the academic qualifications that they pursue in terms of private education. But if we take the state universities, over 95% is actually female, and it actually mirrors to the industry as well, where the top corporate individuals are also female. This actually shows that this increase of 10% of male students coming in actually shows that more and more diversity and more inclusivity is also opening up, and it's also a very interesting area that I personally am involved in, and I want to continue to develop in enhancing those learning skills. And for this, I believe a strong industry and our set of corporates, together with our professionals in the industry, as well as the academia who is churning out the students, can get together and leverage the best for the betterment of the public relations industry in this country, as well as I said earlier, to continue to enhance the foray or the forte of learning, unlearning, and relearning, which is very important at this stage.
Right. I'm glad to hear you say that because I have a last question on the avenues where we all can collaborate, and a quick answer from everybody would be appreciated. But I want to club that with an audience question that we have received, which is by Sokha Blanche, who is a student at our institute. She's a part of the class of 2022. And Sokha asks about India's role in South Asia, particularly what are the contributions India has made towards communications till date, and what are the expectations that other South Asian countries have from India. So perhaps a quick answer on what are the avenues for collaboration for our respective countries, and what do you see India's contribution in the near future? Starting with you, Shamima.
Thanks. And of course, collaboration is the way to grow. As said, this is going to be a focus region for the world. So we do have a lot to do together. And also, when we do this kind of, global training, most of the case studies are from the Western world, hard to connect. So we love to see more and more case studies from this region, that how any situation emerged from alarming to the crisis situation, and how did we manage it, right? At the same time, how have we led any win, say for example, for a better change, a better regulation for the business, or opening up doors for regional collaboration. All these things will be very critical for us to learn and to get grow together. Coming back to the India role, and of course India is the largest neighbor, we would say, right? And very diverse, and of course all the countries has got a lot similarities with India, something or the other. We sitting here know that Nepal is almost like part of India, right? Sometimes we think that West Bengal and Bangladesh is almost the same. Sri Lanka's regulation, India's regulation is followed by, Sri Lanka's regulators, and of course Pakistan, the great marketeers which Pakistan has, right? So a lot of, commonalities there. However, and also we have to accept that India's journalism scenario is evolved like anything. The activist journalism is amazing. The sort of op-ed comes in or position paper comes in, but by the journalists actually can move the nation. This is, I think, is very unique to India as a whole, and in my knowledge, none of our countries could reach out that. Yet journalism lack that sort of very strong and powerful leading story or like long-term positioning on a topic, which is commendable from India. And also, we take a lot of training from India, fact, because Hindustan Unilever is large, and whenever they do any sort of communication training, we are part of it, and it helps us. The experts we get from India is great. I love a lot of moderator or even lot of curator or resource person from India is actually great. The media training that a lot of Indian institute run is very good. However, we have to remember that each countries are unique, right? We should not be, running a corporate communication department sitting in India thinking that, oh, this is an extension of my so-and-so region. That's absolutely not. We have to always keep in mind that each and every country has their own pride, national pride, and unique identity. How to really kind of like put it in front and assist in terms of education and collaboration is definitely going to be an important part, then overshadowing, because it is ultimately the fact that if you have got an elephant size neighbor, they get always the highlight or like the focus. So and nothing harm talking about it. We do have great win from each and every country, because every country has got great human potential. How that story also comes to India in a right manner and get the proper highlight is also very important. So that's my take on your question, Hema.
Got it. Great observations there. Pranu, what about yourself? So, where do you see India's contribution in the near future?
India and Nepal, obviously, as Shamima mentioned, people do think that Nepal is a part of India. Well, obviously, I mean, no comments on that front, but still, I mean, we do look up to India for, setting up the standards for us. In fact, my matrix manager, he sits in India. I mean, we look up to the Indian market as for obviously importing the best practices, and it's culturally we're like so similar, and obviously the market size is like humongous. I mean, we can't even think about comparing ourselves with India and probably replicating the practices, because that's not possible. But obviously we do look up to India for some guidance and what can be sort of applied in country here. When I had the opportunity to go and spend some time with my colleagues in the market, I chose Sri Lanka over India because of the market size. I thought Sri Lanka was, much similar to us, and I mean, so because completely because of the market size also. But even if not directly but indirectly, even by observing, even by learning of what India does, I think it definitely plays a very dominant part, not just in PR, not just in internal communication, but generally in how a country operates itself. It is it contributes more than 70% to the South Asian GDP, so in itself speaks volumes about the importance of India. So that's one. And so the other question on the regional sort of South Asian countries collaborating, yeah. So I think a couple of us mentioned earlier that there is a need for a sort of a unified voice within the country. We don't have it. We don't have association or a PR association. I'm glad that Pakistan has it, and you're doing a absolutely fantastic job in that. I hope we could have that in Nepal as well. If not, maybe a South Asian forum where again, sharing best practices and something, maybe a sort of a regulatory body, not regulatory, but then something that we can look up to for guidance. Those kind of collaboration and cross-country experience sharing like this one. I don't think I've ever sat in a panel like this, diverse like this. We've had one-on-one conversations with different countries. I speak a lot to my colleague in Sri Lanka and to Bangladesh and in India, but not in a common forum. So I think these kind of sessions are also very helpful. So Hemant, thank you so much again for doing it. Yeah.
Of course,
That's
an
my take on
absolute
that.
pleasure. Thank you for saying that. Over to you, Hasan. What do you think are the avenues for us to collaborate, and what are the expectations from India?
Well, about the collaboration, as Pranu just said, that this is a great experience. It's equally interesting and learning for each one of us. Like you said in the beginning, that there are more things alike than different. It, about so collaboration is welcome. We would love to be part of any collaborative effort. In fact, we would love to share our expertise, or where we can, based on our experiences in Pakistan. Uh, about the role of India, again, here it's two aspect when it comes to Pakistan. One is, I won't say that the arch rivalry, but particularly that from Pakistan onward, most of the multinationals, they include it in the MENA region, particularly because of the same religious background and all. So from MENA is the new word that's popping in Middle East, North Africa, and Afghanistan and Pakistan. So a lot of places we've been diverted to that side particular. But when it's come to the cultural identity, obviously, I mean, Punjab, it's like our biggest province. It's share boundaries, values, culture, language, all aspects, food, cuisine from India. Similarly, if we come down to Sindh and Karachi, Karachi is often compared to Mumbai. Same lifestyle, same understanding. Lahore and Delhi, almost, I know people, they always treat them alike. So, Indian movies, Bollywood has played a tremendous role, irrespective of the political situation between our countries. It has always been, part and parcel of, I think, everyone in South Asia and also Middle East now. So, what messaging usually comes out of Bollywood is sometimes it's accepted as a goodwill gesture. Um, be it the Khans, be it Hrithik Roshan and all are equally popular in Pakistan. A lot of corporates, they in the good old days, we even used those advertisements in Pakistan. I remember one of the mobile phone company, they had a advertisement with Hrithik Roshan. That was a big success in Pakistan in launching that particular brand in Pakistan, and it is one of the top brand right now. Likewise, some Pakistani brands have hired Bollywood actors. Irfan Khan did a TV commercial for a Pakistani biscuit manufacturer. So it has always been big influence on us. So at one side, from the religious side, we have to look towards the MENAP region, but cultural side, obviously, it has to be Pakistan. And likewise, Pakistani dramas I've seen are equally popular in India and the adjoining regions because of the language and similar culture. So these are the aspects that can unite us, not only in terms of understanding. And I think this is the right time collaboration on all platforms. One good example is of AdAsia. AdAsia is one of the biggest platforms, particularly for the advertising industry. And when it comes to collaboration, there are no boundaries. All our countries are working together in particularly AdAsia segment and support each other in the winning concepts. So same thing can be done in the communication side, and I'm sure that will not only help us as communicators, but also will help us our audiences, and will bring the countries to much closer. And just last thing about the Indian media, I must say that yes, when it comes to the newspapers and all, they're still strong, excellent readership and all. But the private TV channels have, I think, currently the stance is very much changed from this side of the border. Obviously, when we see at times they just do things which later become a laughing stock. Recently, there were a couple of things that happened. Having said that, good thing is that even irrespective of anything, all the shows, even the most aggressive ones like from the Republic. They are inviting regularly Pakistani journalists, Pakistani guests, and Pakistani panelists, and that is also helping breaking the breaking the ice and breaking and continuing the momentum. So yes, this is what we expect, that collaboration will definitely help the whole region, and as Shamima said, that it will help us come up as a unified platform, as a unified voice for the region.
I hope that happens, and I'm happy to hear that positivity as well. Finally, coming to yourself, Ashan, what do you think are some of the avenues of collaboration and India's role in it?
Yeah, I think even today itself exemplifies that statement, Hemant. I mean, I was honored actually, and I was privileged enough in 2019 to uh, physically visit Praxis in Goa together with my team members and to witness the invaluable skills, the networking sessions, the learnings, the knowledge sharing, and and the fact that I am here talking to you is as a result of that as well. And see, we have similarities across these regions, and easily with our country relationships as well as our celebration in diversity, we have a huge role to play. And I think India being Sri Lanka's big brother, it close proximity, only 32 kilometers away. We've been always, looking up to India uh, as a country which has grown immensely in terms of economy as well as their social as well as their media freedom, including from a more business perspective. Uh, I mean, predominantly our business, apart from Sri Lanka, it is from India that we get a lot of requirements. And that itself shows that close relationships that we have as uh, nations across this same geography. And predominantly, when it comes to platforms such as Spectra, today here we are together. I would like to see us, taking this forward as one coalition and ensuring that this will continue. I would personally like to see this being repeated, say even once a quarter, even these forums of knowledge sharing, the case studies that we can learn from Bangladesh, from Shamima, and uh, from Nepal as well as from Hasan, that will enable us to learn much more. And I was personally invited for Sabre South Asia Awards to be a jury member last year. I learned an enormous part of knowledge as a result of going through these case studies of these applicants. And it also showed me how similar the behavioral patterns are in terms of our regions. India has always been a uh, leading country as well as a nation uh, filled with resources as well as talents. And Sri Lanka as a nation has always looked up to India as that big brother. And
Right.
this is what I wanted to even come out today and even share these thoughts with you all, and to actually request from Hemant and your team to continuously take this forward from Sri Lanka. I personally will get involved and bring in the industry together, bring in all the corporates together. I hope to continually support this forum and making sure that sustainability of this industry is continued.
Understood. Yeah, and we are more than happy to do it. In fact, one of the two things that emerge from this discussion, the first being that we are more common, we are more alike in more ways than we are different. And the second is the need for such a forum where we all can come together and think about how we can all uplift this profession. And I want to thank our panelists for taking out for this incredible conversation. I hope our listeners and viewers have also enjoyed it. Do connect with our panelists on LinkedIn, and we would love to hear your thoughts on these discussions and the opportunities that lie in front of us in South Asia. Once again, check out our website, sacomscouncil.asia. and join us if you would like. Thanks once again for listening, and thanks to our panelists.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Hemant.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
Bye.
so much. Thank you, everyone.